Tennessee, meet your new franchise quarterback, Will Levis. Welcome into Titans today. My name is Jace Andrews, and boy, oh boy, Will Levis had his NFL debut yesterday, and he introduced himself very nicely to the Tennessee Titans fan base in some nice uniforms, I might add. Well, guess what? Is it time to trade Ryan Tannehill? Do you believe that Will Levis is the future of this Titans team? We're going to talk about that in today's show. But before that, I got to know from Titans fans all across America, all across the globe, if you loved what you saw from Will Levis yesterday, then I want you to do me a favor and like today's video. That's the easiest way to let me know. And on top of which, it's free, it's easy, and it shows support for us and for Will Levis. Mondays are just sweeter when they're victory Mondays. Glad you chose to join us here on Titans today. Again, my name is Jace Andrews, and boy, oh boy, it's a sweet day because, well, let's just say it. The Titans may have had their best game of the season. They looked really nice. The only thing that maybe could compare to this was the Bengals game, but here we are, and nice little win against the Falcons in the nice Houston Oilers throwback uniforms. And the stats were piling in from every key player. You had Will Levis, his NFL debut, 238, 4 touchdowns, averaging 8.2 yards per pass. You had DeAndre Hopkins, who had 4 receptions and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that's pretty efficient if you ask me. 128 yards on the day. On top of that, he looks pretty good. And then Derrick Henry having his second 100-yard game of the year. The other one coming against that Bengals team. He looked pretty nice as well. And hey, they may have just saved DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry from getting traded. Seems like those two may be staying in the Titans blue for the foreseeable future. But the reason they're staying here, well, that's because Levis is him. I'm telling you, I talked about it all week, how Will Levis gives this team a better chance to win, and he proved my point absolutely solid yesterday against the Falcons. He looked great, honestly having one of, I'm going to say it, the best games we've seen from a Titans quarterback all year. Let's just compare the facts here. Levis's best game, his first game. Ryan Tannehill's best game. Those are the stats. I don't know about you, but that's the first game for Will Levis. And the touchdowns, you have 3 more. Yes, Tannehill has more yards, but the longer passes were hitting for Levis. 19 for 29 is a little bit more or less of a completion percentage than Tannehill. The average, a little better for Tannehill, but the QBR, you see it right there. 60.8, 60.9. Seems as though Will Levis has outperformed Ryan Tannehill in just one game. Now, I know the stats are a little close, but the thing that I want to point out, Will Levis, that was his first game, and it was against the Falcons. Ryan Tannehill, that was the best game against the Chargers. Let's just look at those defenses and see what happened. So first of all, the Falcons are 6th in yards per game. By the way, they were 3rd when they came into that game yesterday, so Will Levis just bounced them back 3 spots. And the Chargers, at this point, are 31st in yards per game. At the time when they were Titans, they were around, 32nd. They weren't around it. They were the worst team in the NFL. I'm just going to say it. Yes, the Titans stats may be there, maybe not, but Ryan Tannehill faced a worse defense and still wasn't that much better in his best game. I think Will Levis may be the future for Tennessee, but I don't know if you agree with me. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something that you weren't exactly sold on Mr. Will. Well, today's your time to shine. Let me know in the comment section. Is Levis the future of the Tennessee Titans? If you think he is, then type Y for yes. If you think he's not, and that there's still time, the jury is out, then type in for no. This will be our pinned comment on today's video. So get in the comment section and let me know. This is a really discussable topic, I think, because honestly, 2 back-to-back drafts of a quarterback, maybe Levis was the one who hit. All right, we talked about Will Levis. We talked about how maybe he could be the starter. Well, it seems as though he will start on Thursday. Jeremy Fowler coming in here with a report saying that Levis is expected to start Thursday night versus the Steelers, as Ryan Tannehill is still recovering from a high ankle sprain and likely needs more time. Barring a surprise, Levis will get start number 2. Now, the thing that I ask, though, is it time to trade Ryan Tannehill? Listen, there's a couple teams that have lost their quarterback in this year, and the trade deadline's tomorrow. So could the Titans move on from Tannehill? Well, I think that's the question everyone is asking is, listen, there's some concern about it, and honestly, I think it's rightful concern. Now, the only thing you don't have to be concerned about is where to play daily fantasy sports, because that is easy. That is with Prize Picks. It is the #1 daily fantasy sports app, and I'm telling you what, it's the only way to play DFS. All you do is pick 2 or 6 players, and you pick more or less on their Prize Picks projected stats. Monday Night Football tonight, I've got my picks and my entries with Jared Goff going more. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs going more. I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown going more, because more is the way to go. And I'm telling you, if you're not picking more, then you aren't really living. Make sure you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time match deposit. Again, it's the easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers, not versus anyone else. You're not facing players like pros or sharks. Again, 2 to 6 players, more or less, on their Prize Picks projected stats. That's it. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds, especially with Prize Picks' new addition. They can use Apple Pay. It's so easy to play, and it makes the sports viewing experience insanely exciting. Again, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. Where could Tannehill go? So we kind of talked about, okay, where exactly are we going to trade Ryan Tannehill, as maybe it's time to move on from him? Well, how exactly do we move on from him? Who needs a QB is the first question. Is there teams out there that maybe need a quarterback? Maybe their quarterback has gotten injured. That sparks a thought in my mind, because there was an injury yesterday. In fact, there was a big injury yesterday. Kirk Cousins went down for the Minnesota Vikings, which, funny enough, at the beginning of the season, when the Vikings started out rough, there was talks of trading Kirk Cousins to the Titans for Ryan Tannehill in a quarterback swap and having Kirk Cousins be Tennessee's starting quarterback. Well, now Kirk is out, and maybe Ryan Tannehill goes to the Vikings to be their starting quarterback. But Minnesota is maybe the most likely option, but are they the only option? Well, no, because I said quarterback injuries. There's also another one. Aaron Rodgers got injured at the early part of the season. Now, they do have Zach Wilson, and they beat the Giants yesterday, but again, Giants are not that good, and Zach Wilson has not looked that great. So, could these two teams be in line for a trade? Well, that's what we're going to talk about here on today's video with the rest of Titans today. I think it's easy to talk about because we don't need Tannehill anymore. What can you get out of him? Well, let's look at some proposed trades. The first one being the Vikings, because I think that one is a little more likely. Ryan Tannehill would go to Minnesota, and you would receive a 5th-round draft pick. Now, why a 5th? Well, I think that's the limit. I think that's probably the most you can get. Maybe if the Vikings were really desperate, you could get a 4th-round conditional pick, but I doubt that would actually happen. This trade could easily happen. I think it's an easy one to work out. It's just a 1 pick and a 1 quarterback. You don't need Tannehill. In fact, Malik Willis, I kind of like the way I use him. He had the fumble, but was it really his fault? Not exactly. It was a high snap. Couldn't really corral it and then dropped it again. He could have played it better, but at the same time, if it was a better snap, it wouldn't have mattered. So that's kind of neither here nor there. I kind of like having the Levis and Malik Willis 1-2 punch rather than Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill, and Will Levis. Those 3 just don't make sense. So this trade could easily work. But I think, man, I don't know. This may be a hot take. I think it's time to trade Ryan Tannehill. His time in Tennessee has to be done. And if you think it is time to trade Tannehill, well, then let me know in the comments of today's video. Type T for trade or type P for pass. Is Tannehill's time in Tennessee done? Type T. If you think he's still got a little bit left before the clock strikes midnight, then type P for pass. Minnesota's not the only team that we could see a trade for Ryan Tannehill, as the New York Jets also have their quarterback injured. This one happened a while back, though, with Aaron Rodgers getting injured on the 4th play of the season. 4th play. That's kind of crazy. But at the same time, Zach Wilson has stepped in. I'm going to say he's played formidable, which is why this is a 6th-round pick. Again, less desperate team, so from a 5th round to a 6th-round pick, it doesn't really matter because, again, 6th and 5th are in some ways similar enough, especially when you're not going to play the backup quarterback, which that's what Ryan Tannehill is at this point. I would honestly say if Ryan Tannehill plays another snap this season with the Titans, it's because Will Levis got injured. Knock on wood. I do not want that to happen because, listen, he can evolve. He can play. You play your cards right. You can have a team that maybe could potentially rise above all the challenges they've had this year, maybe be in a hunt for a wild card. I'll be real with you. I think that's completely possible if Will Levis comes out here and plays well. You're in a crappy division, to put it lightly. Ryan Tannehill, the Jets could be nice to get a 6th-round pick. Ryan Tannehill hasn't been bad, to be quite honest with you. You see the stats. Overall, that's not bad. In fact, in 2020 and in 2021, pretty nice. Those are pretty good stats for Ryan Tannehill. He's a guy who I think is, I'm not going to say done in the NFL, but he's done in Tennessee. He hasn't worked out. This year hasn't been good. It's time to move on. And here's the thing. The Titans are now listening to trade offers for Ryan Tannehill. Just listening, that report coming from the Tennessean. Now, will anybody actually give them a formidable offer? That question is still yet to be answered. We're going to find out, though. The trade deadline is tomorrow at 3 p.m. Telling you, things may happen, things may not. I will say this. Given the good game from DeAndre Hopkins, given the good game from Derrick Henry, and the fact that they were already not really planning on trading Derrick Henry, I would expect the Titans to now be pretty quiet in the trade deadline little thing. Kevin Byard may be the only trade you see. The only one, maybe you move on from D-Hop, but 3 touchdowns with Levis, I doubt you want to take him away from a rookie quarterback who really connected well with Hopkins, and Hopkins seemed to like that. We appreciate you watching here on Titans Today. Make sure you sub for Titans Dubs. And guess what? Because of the absolute amazing Titans fans, we're actually going to go live for this Thursday game, Titans versus Steelers, Thursday Night Football. We're going to be live. Make sure you join us here on Titans Today, as we're going to be having a fun watch party. It's going to be me just kind of chilling, talking Titans football. So sub for Titans Dub and join us for our Thursday watch party. We appreciate you as always, and peace out.